We live and alive.
Okay. Let's see then. Yeah, we read all of this. Jai Shri Gurudev, Jai Saraswati Devi Ki Jai. Let me see. Well, in Italy, maybe I'll just pick up from where we were. Okay, thank you. Pick up where we were, from where we were in Italy. And if anyone wants to catch up, they can go to the Villa Govinda Facebook page. I think I'll pick up there. So yesterday morning at Villa Govinda, we finished up to the point where Mahaprabhu is gently beginning his deconstruction of the false ego of Keshav Kashmiri. And Mahaprabhu's Keshav Kashmiri has composed 100 verses in glorification of Mother Ganga, and Mahaprabhu's gently pointed out that there's some faults in that composition, and now Mahaprabhu is going to describe exactly what those faults are. Okay. Dasa Vrindavanam Vande Krishna Rasa Prabhum Tata Chanavatar Chaitanya Lila Vistar Karino Dhonityananda Prabja Karunadena Bhushito Vyakta Chano Burachincho Vavande Vyasadupino Shri Guru Gaur Gandharva Govindascha Ganaisaha Jayanti Patakas Ch.Ch Sarvesham Karunartino. So we are in chapter 16. I'm going to pick up here from verse 51. So Prabhu, I'm reading from chapter 16, verse 51. Adi Lila. Prabhu kohe nataiva puchiye to made vichariya gundosh pujaho amade. Taking a humble position, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, because I am not on your level, I have asked you to teach me by explaining the faults and good qualities in your poetry. Nahi pori alankar koriyachi shravam Tate shloke deki bahudo shagum. Certainly I have not studied the art of literary embellishments, but I have heard about it from higher circles. And thus I can review this verse and find in it many faults and many good qualities. Kavi kohe kahadeki kanguna dosh Prabhu kohen koi shuno na kori hodosh. The poet said, all right, let me see what good qualities and faults you have found. The Lord replied, let me speak, and please hear me without becoming angry. Panchadoshe shloke panchalankar grameyami koi shuno koroho vichar. My dear sir, in this verse there are 5 faults and 5 literary ornaments. I shall state them one after another. Kindly hear me and then give your judgment. Avimishta videyamsha duitai china viruramati bhagnakram punarata doshtina. In this verse, the fault of avimishta videyamsha occurs twice, and the faults of Viruda Mati, Bhagna Kram, and Punarata occur once each. So these are all very technical things. Thank you, Didi. So we've come to this section where Mahaprabhu defeats the pride of the Digvijay Pandit, very arrogant scholar. And Mahaprabhu, as a young boy, he's like 13, 14, something like that. He crushes his pride very mercifully and affectionately. So here Mahaprabhu is pointing out the faults in the poetry of this Keshav Kashmiri. Gangar Mahatma Shloke Mul Videya Idam Shabde Anuvad Pachaya Videya. The glorification of the Ganges, Mahatvam Gangaya, is the principal unknown subject matter in this verse. And the known subject matter is indicated by the word idam, which has been placed after the unknown. Videyage kohi pache kohile anuvad, elagi shlokarta kodiache bad. Because you have placed the known subject at the end, and that which is unknown at the beginning, the composition is faulty, and the meaning of the words has become doubtful. Anuvadam anuktvaiva na videyam udirayat na hyalabdaspadam kinchit kutrachit pratitishtati. This is a verse from the Ekadashi Tattva. Translation: without first mentioning what is known, one should not introduce the unknown, for that which has no solid basis can never be established anywhere. Dvitiya Shri Lakshmi Hao Dvitiyatva Videya Samase Guna Hoilo Shabdarta Gelo Koya. In the word Dvitiya Shri Lakshmi, a second all-opulent goddess of fortune, the quality of being a second Lakshmi is the unknown. In making this compound word, the meaning becomes secondary, and the originally intended meaning was lost. Titiya Shabda Videyataha Porilo Samatse Lakshmir Samata Arta Korilo Vinashe. Because the word Dvitiya, second, is the unknown, in its combination in this compound word, the intended meaning of equality with Lakshmi is lost. Havimishta Videyam Shedoshenam Areka Doshache Shunosavadan. Not only is there the fault, Avimishta Videyamsha, but there is another fault, which I shall point out to you. Kindly hear me with great attention. Pavani Barcha Shabda Dilepaya Santosh Virudamati Kritna Me Mahadosh. Here is another great fault. You have arranged the word Bhavani Barcha to your great satisfaction, but this betrays the fault of contradiction. Bhavani Shabde Kohe Mahadever Grihini Tar Bharta Kohile Dvitiya Bharta Jani. The word Bhavani means the wife of Lord Shiva, but when we mention her husband, one might conclude that she has another husband. Shiva Patnya Bharta Iha Shunite Virud Virudamati Krit Shabda Shastrana Hishuddha. It is contradictory to hear that Lord Shiva's wife has another husband. The use of such words in literature creates the fault called Viruddha Mati Krit. Brahman Patnir Bhartar Haste Dehodan Shabda Shunite Hoy Dvitiya Bhartagyam. If someone says, place this charity in the hand of the husband, of the wife, of the Brahmin, when we hear these contradictory words, we immediately understand that the Brahmin's wife has another husband. Vibhavati Grihidai Vakya Sangapuna Visheshan Adbhut Guna E Puna Atta Dushan. The statement by the word Vibhavati, flourishes, is complete. Qualifying it with the adjective Adbhuta Guna, wonderful qualities, creates the fault of redundancy. Tin pade anuprasa deki anupam, ekapade nahiye doshpagnagram. There is extraordinary alliteration in 3 lines of the verse, but in 1 line there is no such alliteration. This is the fault of deviation. Yadyapi shloke Ch.Ch panchalankar, panchodoshe shloka koilo chadakar. Although there are 5 literary ornaments decorating this verse, the entire verse has been spoiled by these 5 most faulty presentations. Doshalankare jadi ek shloka hoy, ek doshe sabalankar hoy koi. If there are 10 literary ornaments in a verse, but even 1 faulty expression, the entire verse is nullified. Sundar Shadir Ch.Ch Bhushane Bhushita, Eka Shweta Kushte Ch.Ch Koroye Vigita. One's beautiful body may be decorated with jewels, but 1 spot of white leprosy makes the entire body abominable. And really it can be like that. If there is one may have so many qualities. Normally we're appreciating qualities and faults, we can see both sides, but from one angle of vision, if someone may have so many qualities, but if there is a particularly glaring fault, then that spoils everything. And the example we heard from Srila Gurudev is of 1 drop of urine in a pot of milk. You've milked the cow, you have this wonderful pot of fresh milk, and then 1 drop, just 1 drop, that's all it takes, and the whole thing is spoiled. And Srila Gurudev used that to demonstrate how pratishta, how arrogance, the desire for renown, that spoils whatever good qualities we have. One may have so many wonderful qualities, but if they have some pride about those qualities, then it's all spoiled. The good qualities, they are enhanced by the mood of humility. And one very nice, I think it's in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, I don't think it's here in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's mentioned that in Mahaprabhu's, after this takes place, then Mahaprabhu gives some further instruction to Keshav Kashmiri, and one very nice instruction he gives him is that someone who has so many good qualities, they should be like a tree with many fruits. If a tree has many fruits and it's hanging very low, right? So to indicate that if one has so many qualities, they should feel some humility about that. They should not have arrogance. They should not have pride about that. Actually, with the proper angle of vision, we feel some, it's very humbling actually, because we feel if we see some good quality within ourselves, it's actually humbling because we will feel that this is not our own property. This is my Guru's property. This is the Lord's property. And I'm actually so unworthy. I am so unfit. And this wonderful thing is descending in me, is appearing here before me. But it's not mine. And actually it can bring about some feeling of shame that I'm not qualified for that, actually. I'm a lowly person, and these qualities, they are descending to an unworthy person, and it is by the grace of Guru. So it can bring about this feeling of humility. So this Keshav Kashmiri, he actually has so many wonderful qualities. He's very, very scholarly. He's also a great devotee of the goddess Saraswati. He has some devotional mood. But at the same time, he has this fault of his ego, false pride. So then everything is spoiled. So Mahaprabhu, very mercifully, he is removing that false pride. One's beautiful body may be decorated with jewels, but 1 spot of white leprosy makes the entire body abominable. Rasalankar vat kavyam dosha yukched vibhushitam syad vapu sundaram api Ch.Ch naikena durbagam. This is a quotation from the writings of Bharata Muni, an authority on poetic metaphor. As one's body, although well decorated with ornaments, is made unfortunate by even one spot of white leprosy, so an entire poem is made useless by a fault, despite alliteration, similes, and metaphors. Panchala alankaderibe shunoho vichar, dui shabd alankar teen arta alankar. Now hear the description of the 5 literary embellishments. There are 2 ornaments of sound and 3 ornaments of meaning. Shabdalankar teen padeache anupras, Shri Lakshmi shabde punaruktavadabas. There is a sound ornament of alliteration in 3 lines. And in the combination of the words Shri and Lakshmi, there is the ornament of a tinge of redundancy. Because Shri is also used to refer to Lakshmi. So the 2 together, it is, redundant. Pratam charane pancha tokader panti chitya charane hoy panchade fastiti. In the arrangement of the first line, the letter ta occurs 5 times, and the arrangement of the 3rd line repeats the letter ra 5 times. Chaturta charane. So you can just imagine, this Keshav Kashmiri, just like that man in Switzerland who Gurudev defeated his false pride. You can imagine this Keshav Kashmiri, he's becoming more and more ashamed and sinking lower and lower as Mahaprabhu is listing fault after fault after fault. And all in this very sweet and humble mood. In the 4th line, the letter ba occurs 4 times. This arrangement of alliteration is a pleasing ornamental use of sounds. Shri Shabde Lakshmi Shabde Ekavashtu Ukta Punarukta Praibhase Nahe Punarukta. Although the words Shri and Lakshmi convey the same meaning and are therefore almost redundant, they are nevertheless not redundant. Sriyukta Lakshmi Arte Arte Vibhed Punarukta Vadabas Shabdalankar Bhed. Describing Lakshmi as possessed of Shri opulence offers a difference in meaning with a tinge of repetition. This is the 2nd ornamental use of words. Okay, so maybe he's describing now the qualities of the composition. The use of the words Lakshmi or Eva, like Lakshmi, manifests the ornament of meaning called upama, analogy. There is also the further ornament of meaning called virodha bhas, or a contradictory indication. Gangate kamal janme shabar subodh, kamale gangar janma atyanta virod. Everyone knows that lotus flowers grow in the water of the Ganges. But to say that the Ganges takes birth from a lotus flower seems extremely contradictory. Iha Vishnu Parapadma Padme Ganga Utpatti Virodalankar Iha Mahachamadgriti. The existence of Mother Ganges begins from the lotus feet of the Lord. Although this statement that water comes from a lotus flower is a contradiction, in connection with Lord Vishnu, it is a great wonder. Ishvara Ch.Ch Shakte Gangar Prakash Ihate Viroda Nahi Viroda Abbas. In this birth of the Ganges by the inconceivable potency of the Lord, there is no contradiction, although it appears contradictory. I'll read a little from this purport. Purport: the central point of all Vaishnava philosophy is to accept the inconceivable potency of Lord Vishnu. What sometimes appears contradictory from a material viewpoint is understandable in connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he can perform contradictory activities by dint of his inconceivable potencies. Modern scientists are puzzled. They cannot even explain how such a large quantity of chemicals has formed the atmosphere. Scientists explain that water is a combination of hydrogen and oxygen, but when asked where such a large quantity of hydrogen and oxygen came from and how they combined to manufacture the great oceans and seas, they cannot answer, because they are all atheists who will not accept that everything comes from life. Their thesis is that life comes from matter. Where do all these chemicals come from? The answer is that they are produced by the inconceivable energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Living entities are part of the Supreme Godhead, and from their bodies come many chemicals. For example, the lemon tree is a living entity that produces many lemons, and within each lemon is a great deal of citric acid. Therefore, if even an insignificant living entity who is but a part of the Supreme Lord can produce so much of a chemical, how much potency there must be in the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Scientists cannot perfectly explain where the chemicals of the world are manufactured, but one can explain this perfectly by accepting the inconceivable energy of the Supreme Lord. There is no reason for denying this argument, since there are potencies in the living entities who are samples of the personality of Godhead. How much potency there must be in the Supreme Godhead himself. As described in the Vedas, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. He is the chief eternal of all eternals and the chief living entity among all living entities. Unfortunately, atheistic science will not accept that matter comes from life. Scientists insist upon their most illogical and foolish theory that life comes from matter. Although this is quite impossible, they cannot prove in their laboratories that matter can produce life. Yet there are thousands and thousands of examples illustrating that matter comes from life. Therefore, in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that as soon as one accepts the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no great philosopher or scientist can put forward any thesis to contradict the Lord's power. This is expressed in the following Sanskrit verse. Ambujam ambuni jatam kvachid api najatam ambujad ambu murabidi tad vipaditam kadambojan mahanadi jata. Everyone knows that lotus flowers grow in the water, but water never grows from a lotus. All such contradictions, however, are wonderfully possible in Krishna. The great river Ganges has grown from his lotus feet. Gangar Mahatva Sadhya Sadantahar Vishnu Padopati Anuman Alankar. The real glory of Mother Ganges is that she is grown from the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. Such a hypothesis is another ornament called Anuman. Stule Panchadosh Panchalankar Shukshma Vichariye Jadi Achoye Apar. I have simply discussed the 5 gross faults and 5 literary embellishments of this verse. But if we consider it in fine detail, we will find unlimited faults. Pratibha Kavitva Tomar Devata Persade Avichar Kavya Vasha Padedosha Bade. You have achieved poetic imagination and ingenuity by the grace of your worshipable demigod. But poetry not well reviewed is certainly subject to criticism. Vicharika vitva koile hoy sunirmal, salankar hoile arta kode jalamal. Poetic skill used with due consideration is very pure, and with metaphors and analogies it is dazzling. Shunya prabhur vyakya digvijay vishmita, Mukena nisade vakya pratibha stambita. After hearing the explanation of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the champion poet was struck with wonder. His cleverness stunned, he could not say anything. Kohite chahaye kicho nai se utar, tobe vicharoye mane hoya pampar. He wanted to say something, but no reply would come from his mouth. He then began to consider this puzzle within his mind. Paruya balak koilo mor budi lopa, jani saraswati more korea chen kopa. This mere boy has blocked my intelligence. I can therefore understand that Mother Saraswati has become angry with me. Ye vyakya karilo se manushya nahe shakti, imai muke rohi bole apane Saraswati. The wonderful explanation the boy has given could not have been possible for a human being. Therefore, Mother Saraswati must have spoken personally through his mouth. Etavavi kohe shuno nimai pandit, tava vyakya shunyami hoilo vishmit. Thinking thus, the Pandit said, "My dear Nimai Pandit, please hear me. Hearing your explanation, I am simply struck with wonder. Alankar nahi pada nahi shastra bhyas, kemone sabharta korile prakash." I am surprised. You are not a literary student and do not have long experience in studying the Shastra. How have you been able to explain all these critical points? Iha shuni Mahaprabhu ati bodo rangi, taha hridoy jani, kohe kodi bangi. Hearing this and understanding the Pandit's heart, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied in a humorous way, Shastre vichar balo mandanahi jani, Saraswati je bolai se bolivani. My dear sir, I do not know what is good composition and what is bad, but whatever I have spoken must be understood to have been spoken by Mother Saraswati. Yashuni digvijay korilo nishchoy, Shishu dware devi more koilo padajai. When he heard this judgment from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Pandit sorrowfully wondered why Mother Saraswati wanted to defeat him through a small boy. Ajitade nivedibo korijapa dhyan, Shishu dware koilo more eta paman. I shall offer prayers and meditation to the goddess of learning, the champion concluded, and ask her why she has insulted me so greatly through this boy. Vastuta Saraswati ashuddha shloka korailo, vichar samoitar buddhiyachadilo. Saraswati had in fact induced the champion to compose his verse, in an impure way. Furthermore, when it was discussed, she covered his intelligence, and thus the Lord's intelligence was triumphant. Tobe shishagansa bhaside lagilo, ta sabani shedi prabhu kavire kohilo. When the poetic champion was thus defeated, all the Lord's disciples sitting there began to laugh loudly. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked them not to do so, and he addressed the poet as follows. Tumi bodo pandit mahakavi shiromani, jar muke bahirai aiche kavyavani. You are the most learned scholar and the topmost of all great poets, for otherwise how could such fine poetry come from your mouth? Tomar kavitva jeno ganga jaladar, Tomasam kavikota nahi dekiyar. Your poetic skill is like the constant flow of the waters of the Ganges. I find no one in the world who can compete with you. Bhavabuddhi jai devar kalidas, Tasabar kavitve ache doshe prakash. Even in the poetic compositions of such great poets as Bhava Bhuti, Jayadev, and Kalidas, there are many examples of faults. Dosha gun vichai alpa kori mani, kavitva karane shakti, tahase vakani. Such mistakes should be considered negligible. One should see only how such poets have displayed their poetic power. Shaishav chapaliki chunalo be amar, shishya saman mui nahau tomar. I am not even fit to be your disciple. Therefore, kindly do not take seriously whatever childish impudence I have shown. Ajivasa jahat kali milibo abar, shinibo tomar muke shastre vichar. Please go back home, and tomorrow we may meet again, so that I may hear discourses on the Shastras from your mouth. Hemate nijangore gela duijan, kavirache koilo saraswati aradan. In this way, both the poet and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went back to their homes, and at night the poet worshipped Mother Saraswati. Saraswati swapne tare upadesha koilo, sakshadishwar kori prabhuke janilo. In a dream, the goddess informed him of the Lord's position, and the poet champion could understand that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Pate asi Prabhu pade loilo sharan, Prabhu kripa koilo tar kandilo bandam. The next morning the poet came to Lord Chaitanya and surrendered unto his lotus feet. The Lord bestowed his mercy upon him and cut off all his bondage to material attachment. Bhagavanta Digvijay Safal Jivan, Vijya Bole Pailo Mahaprabhu Charan. The poetic champion was certainly most fortunate. His life was successful by dint of his vast learning and erudite scholarship, and thus he attains the shelter of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ye sab lila varni achin Vrindavan das, Jai kichu visheshi how korilo prakash. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has described all these incidents elaborately. I have only presented the specific incidents he has not described. Chaitanya Gosayar Lilamrite Radhar, Sarvenjiya Tripta Hoy Shravane Jahar. The nectarian drops of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes can satisfy the senses of everyone who hears them. Shri Rupa Raghunath. The dar is not drops, dar is a current, actually. Upanuga dara. So Amritera dar, saying Chaitanya Gosai Leela, Amritera dar, that the Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is like a current of nectar. It is like a stream of nectar. And all the senses are satisfied by hearing that. Sarvenjiya tripta hoy shravane jahar. Shri Rupa Raghunath Pade Jarash, Chaitanya Charitamrita Koye Krishna Das. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. So I decided to pick up where we left off in Italy, and so we heard Mahaprabhu's description of the 5 faults and 5 ornaments in the poetry of Keshav Kashmiri. And Keshav Kashmiri is very humbled by that. And he feels very ashamed because he understands that his skill is because of the mercy of Saraswati, Goddess Saraswati. And so he feels, how is it possible that this little boy can humiliate me? Mother Saraswati must be angry with me. And furthermore, for this young boy to be able to speak with such authority, Goddess Saraswati must be empowering him, And then Mahaprabhu, he kind of like plays with him and he knows what he's thinking. So he says, I'm just an ignorant boy. Whatever I've said has really been spoken by the Goddess Saraswati. And then he goes home and he does puja to the Goddess Saraswati. And then that night she comes in a dream and she tells him, what the real situation is, And then he's happy, If you're defeated by the Supreme Lord himself, what mercy is that? And then I was mentioning before also, we have this other authoritative text on the life of Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Bhagavat, you may have heard of, and that describes this incident in more detail. And so one very nice point mentioned there is that so this Digvijay Panja, his pride is crushed, he goes home, then Saraswati reveals to him who is Mahaprabhu, and then the next day he goes and surrenders to Mahaprabhu. And then at that time, then Mahaprabhu gives him some beautiful instruction. And one thing which is mentioned in Chaitanya Bhagavat is he tells him that someone who has many good qualities should be like a tree with many fruits that hangs low. That having so many qualities should bring some humility, not arrogance. So this poet, this scholar, he's very qualified, he has so many good qualities, but his fault is that he's humble, that he's arrogant. So, very beautiful instruction there. And you see how loving Mahaprabhu is not trying to put himself in some superior position, and he's not getting joy out of humiliating this Pandit. He's doing it out of some necessity. And it mentions how at a certain point, because Mahaprabhu's on the bank of the Ganges, he's surrounded by students. And so all the students are loving this. Like they're watching their teacher, their young teacher, defeat this renowned older scholar. So they're loving this. And then at a certain point, they burst out laughing because Mahaprabhu's totally smashed him. And then Mahaprabhu tells him to stop laughing. Like, be sober, don't laugh at him, And he tells him, actually you're a very great poet, and even in the writings of the very renowned poets, they have faults too, you shouldn't feel too bad about it. But it's interesting, in the Prema Dhamma Deva Stotram, which is a summary, right, of the whole of Mahaprabhu's Leela, then Srila Sridhar Maharaj is very concisely describing all the principal pastimes of Mahaprabhu. And so Srila Sridhar Maharaj briefly mentions this pastime of Mahaprabhu defeating the Digvijay Pandit. But the point that he highlights is that Mahaprabhu stops his students from laughing. Like, it's quite sweet, That's the point that Srila Sridhar Maharaj highlights in that pastime. I have to find it. It must be near the beginning because it's in the early pastimes. That, like, this is the essence of this pastime, this beautiful exchange of Mahaprabhu mercifully removing the arrogance of the scholar, but in this mood of affection and respect and mercy. He's not just, arrogantly destroying him. Oh, you found it, huh? Shloka Ganga Vandanarka Digjigi Shubhashitam Vyatyalankritadi Dosha Tarkitarta Dushitam Dvasta Yukti Ruda Buddhi Datadi Madadaram Prema Dhamma Devam Eva Naumi Goda Sundaram. After that grand Sanskrit scholar, Keshav Kashmiri, had intellectually conquered all 10 directions, he came before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on the banks of the Ganges River. At the Lord's request, he spontaneously composed and recited many wonderful prayers in glorification of the sacred Ganges. Sri Gaurangadev then amazed the scholar when he recollected and pointed out several rhetorical errors in his compositions. Keshav Kashmiri skillfully presented many logical arguments in his own favor, but was ultimately defeated. Finally, when Keshav Kashmiri's incompetence was exposed and his intelligence was totally perplexed, Lord Gauranga compassionately respected him in a manner befitting a great scholar by preventing his students who were present from laughing at the Pandit. I offer my obeisances to that beautiful golden Lord. Gauranga Sundar, the divine form of Krishna Prema. So compassionate. Another point which really struck me in this Prema Dhamma is, because Mahaprabhu, as Nimai Pandit, he was this very great Sanskrit scholar. So people would travel to see him, he would travel to give classes in distant places. He was a very great scholar and teacher. But then at a certain point, when Mahaprabhu became converted, he took because in his earlier years, Mahaprabhu, he posed as being not very interested in bhakti. He would even make fun of the devotees sometimes. He was absorbed in his scholarship. This was his leela, his pastime. And then he had this leela of being converted, and he took initiation from, he went to Gaya to perform last rites for his father in Gaya. And he met there Ishvara Puri, and he ended up taking initiation from Ishvara Puri, a great devotee. And then after receiving initiation, then he became like a madman for Krishna, like showing himself to be so, deeply absorbed in love and feeling separation from Krishna. So then he returned to Navadvip, like completely changed. And he sought out the devotees, and the devotees were also joyful. Oh, the great Nimai Pandit is joining us now. But then he couldn't teach grammar anymore. He couldn't teach Sanskrit grammar anymore. And his students became disappointed. And it's mentioned he would explain everything as meaning Krishna. That was the meaning of everything. But then a point Srila Sridhar Maharaj mentions here, which is so heart-touching and shows how compassionate the Lord's heart is, just like here, in this example here, is that Mahaprabhu felt some sadness that he wasn't able to give his students what he wanted, because his students became very disappointed. They wanted to learn grammar. And now their teacher became like this mad Hare Krishna, and they just wanted to learn Sanskrit grammar. So they were very disappointed, and they told him, like, please, can you just teach us like properly like you were before? And so Srila Sridhar Maharaj mentions how the Lord felt compassion in his heart, that he felt sadness that he wasn't able to give them what they wanted, because sometimes we can think in an arrogant way, oh, we're so superior, we're just like into exclusive Krishna consciousness, we're superior to the karmis, like that. But Mahaprabhu has this, he didn't have that mood, like just give up everything, and like they weren't ready for that, that's where they were, they were into their scholarship. Wasn't like they're ready to give that up and join the Sankirtan movement. So the Lord actually felt some compassion that he wasn't able to give that to them. It's so beautiful. Yeah, here we are. This is verse 13. The Lord began to teach Sanskrit to his students again after returning from Gaya. However, when emotions arising from pure love overwhelmed the Lord, he was unable to continue teaching them. Nimai's personal students, bereft of the opportunity to learn from the Lord, condemned themselves as unfortunate. Lamenting, they humbly praised the unparalleled genius of the Lord's teachings. Although the Lord experienced grief, he experienced grief due to sympathetic feelings towards his students. What is that? This is inconceivable compassion. He acted as their ever well-wisher when he inaugurated the happy glorification of Lord Krishna by chanting Haraya Nama Krishna as they clapped in unison. In the wake of the congregational chanting, the moving and non-moving living entities in all 10 directions were immersed in the surging waves of that grand ocean of sweet devotional mellows. I offer my obeisances to that beautiful golden Lord, Gauranga Sundar, the divine form of Krishna Prem. And as I recall, there's also some incident where the students, they go and complain to Mahaprabhu, who was Mahaprabhu's teacher, Gangadas Pandit. Like, can you straighten him out? And then Gangadas, because Gangadas was like the teacher, the guru of Mahaprabhu. And so then Gangadas gives some instruction to Mahaprabhu, just calm down. We can, he says something like we understand that you're a devotee of Krishna, that's beautiful, we're all devotees of Krishna, that's okay. But, when you're in the classroom, just try and teach grammar. And Mahaprabhu's like, yes, I will try. But he cannot. Such sweet, sweet pastimes. Okay, should we stop there today? Any last thing? Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki Jai, Srila Gurudev ki Jai. Would you like to sing Hari Haraya Nama Krishna?